The Red-Eye Assault Rifle has been vaulted, which is surprising given it was almost a requirement to hold in your inventory last season in all game modes. Despite it being a very poor box fighting weapon due to its lack of damage per second, the range and accuracy was unmatched at mid to long ranges due to the red dot sight and high damage per shot. In its place is the MK Alpha, a nerfed down version of Chapter 3 Season 1's extremely powerful MK7. When comparing the rare versions of both, the Alpha has 4 more damage per shot than the MK7, however, to compensate for this, the fire rate has been reduced by 2. If you're not familiar with how fire rate works in Fortnite, it essentially shoots 7 bullets every second rather than the previous 9, which drastically reduces the amount of bullets that pass through walls when players are holding turbo build, and if you played Chapter 3 Season 1, you'll know this was a major problem with the MK7. These changes culminate in a damage per second of 168 in comparison to the MK7's 180, a 6.7% reduction of total damage output. The MK Alpha also has a smaller magazine size of 30 in comparison to the MK7's 35. Yet, when comparing these side by side, you can actually spray the Alpha for 10% longer than the 7 before needing to reload. Of course, the main strength of the red dot weapons is their deadly accuracy. Given the MK Alpha is more of a spray weapon, it's much more difficult to hit multiple shots at long distances, and each individual shot will do less damage. This season, it may be trickier to play on the dead side of zone and go for long distance surge tags, since you'll deal less damage than the players who are spraying in close and medium distances. The recoil from this weapon kicks pretty hard initially, however then stabilizes after around 4 shots, so if you're looking for more consistent long range tags, you should aim lower on the body and spray 2 to 4 bullets, as the recoil will naturally drag your crosshair upwards. But of course there are 2 other assault rifles in this season, the Flapjack Rifle and the Suppressed Havoc AR, so what should you take? Well, if last season has taught me anything, it's that there's absolutely no reason I would ever pick up the Suppressed Havoc AR. The damage per second of Highcard's Havoc Suppressed Rifle, the mythic variant, is 156. The grey MK Alpha is 154. Sure, there's differences in recoil and reload time, but yeah, no one's maining the Suppressed Havoc, so the real question is Flapjack Rifle or MK Alpha. The damage per second across all rarities of the Flapjack is higher than the MK Alpha, but what really sets it apart is its box fighting capabilities. The Flapjack has a magazine size of 45, and given it has a lower fire rate of 6.2, this means it'll take 7.2 seconds to empty the entire clip before needing to reload, which gives you a huge benefit over the MK Alpha. This means that you can use it to wall replace and still have a lot of ammo left in the magazine to use the AR as a follow-up weapon. This makes it particularly good at ramp phasing through walls, as you can use a few bullets to phase through that wall and still have plenty in the magazine to shoot the player inside. On top of that, a hidden stat that most people don't know about is structure damage. The MK Alpha's structure damage is the same as the damage to players. However, the Flapjack has an additional 5 damage per shot against structures. Not only that, the accuracy in these situations with the Flapjack is infinitely better than the MK Alpha. I'm intentionally oversimplifying here, as there's a lot of stats that go into each of these, but there's 3 factors to consider when looking at weapons accuracy: spread, the amount of random variation where a bullet can land; bloom, the amount of crosshair space that will increase when you start shooting; and recoil, the horizontal and vertical movement of the crosshair when shooting. When overlaying the crosshairs, you can see the Flapjack has a significantly tighter spread than the MK Alpha. Interestingly, the MK Alpha has minimal bloom as its crosshair barely increases. However, even at full spray, the Flapjack is the clear winner here. It actually is such a tight spread that at mid ranges, you can just use it like an SMG, run, jump, and spray without ADSing. When comparing recoil, both weapons take around 30 frames to reach maximum recoil. For reference, all these clips were recorded at 60 frames per second, so that's half a second or around 4 bullets. Flapjack does have a slightly lower amount of recoil, but it's relatively close. For reference, this is what the combat SMG looks like, and this is why it's so rough to use. This is why, as I mentioned earlier, it can be beneficial to aim lower on a target and then let the recoil pull up to hit the subsequent shots if you have a chance at hitting multiple in a row. Sounds like the Flapjack Rifle is clearly better than the MK Alpha, but of course, it's never that simple. When aiming down sights, this weapon feels rough. Maybe it's just my atrocious aim, but remember that spread stat? Well, when you actually aim down sight, it's 0.75, which is nearly as bad as the regular submachine gun's 0.8, and many people have referenced how bad that feels to just spray. For reference, the Havoc Suppressed is 0.7, the Combat SMG is 0.5, and this is where the MK Alpha shines. Similar to the Red-Eye, it has a spread of 0.01. Wherever the red dot is placed, it will hit. This is the equivalent to the Flapjack Rifle having perfect first shot accuracy every single bullet. So with similar amounts of recoil, hitting shots with the MK Alpha is significantly easier when aiming down sights. Not only that, it's significantly easier to aim at longer distances. The maximum render distance that you can see other players is 275 meters. From this far away, it's very difficult to see players with a Flapjack Rifle while aiming down sights, but with the MK7's red dot sight, you can consistently do more damage at range with this weapon. So which one of these should you be carrying? Well, firstly, shout out to Arcerian, who provided all of the stats for this. Go and support them with a follow, because they always support my channel. But for ARs, I think there will be a bit of personal preference this season, as both assault rifles are very viable. However, for higher level competitive games, I see players taking the MK Alpha for its significantly higher amount of accuracy, in particular at long ranges. To me, this seems to be true whether it's zero build or in Battle Royale. However, if you're an extremely aggressive player who likes W keying and your playstyle revolves mainly around box fighting, particularly if you're a controller player, then the Flapjack Rifle may be for you. Let me know which one you're using down below. The next video I'm dropping will be a full meta from the first LAN tournament of the season, so like, subscribe, and keep your eyes out for that bad boy. Peace!